I don't know anyone that would want to hurt her. She was as nice a person as there is.
This crime thriller of a murder case unfolds with Lauren Teresa Giddings, a young woman who was ruthlessly killed by her neighbor, who happened to be her classmate. But what led to these unfortunate series of events? Eagerly anticipating her bright future, Lauren graduated from Mercer University in Georgia in June of 2011 and was ready to take the next step towards her dream of becoming a criminal lawyer.
Lauren was very confident. She was very smart. I remember her kind of bringing her books everywhere she went.
With the Georgia bar exam the only hurdle in her way, Lauren had given her family a heads up that they wouldn't be hearing from her in the coming weeks since she'd be focusing on her studies without any distractions.
She seemed like really excited. Even though she was stressed about the bar, she definitely was confident in herself that she was going to be able to pass it. I think she was just excited for her future.
Lauren's sister Caitlin left her a message on June 24th, but Lauren never responded to her text message. Then, on June 30th, 2011, Ashley, one of Lauren's friends, visited her apartment after Lauren had stopped replying to her calls and messages for days.
That I would go by and check on her, as I wasn't very far from her apartment.
Lauren had left a spare key outside her flat that Ashley took to get into her apartment. The condition of her place seemed pretty normal to her except for Lauren's belongings that were scattered all over. But this wasn't much of a concern, as Lauren had been preparing to move out. What made her friend anxious was the fact that Lauren's purse, cell phone, and car keys were in the house. It didn't take her much time to connect the dots that Lauren was in trouble. Lauren was reported missing that day. A horrifying reality for the community emerged when the police search found Lauren's torso concealed in the black trash bag in a garage can near her apartment. It didn't take long for the news of this grotesque incident to spread like wildfire, leading to a swarm of media and news channels reporters arriving at the crime scene. Following the tragic finding, Macon Police Chief Mike Burns called a press conference asking for the public to help in the criminal investigation. He asked them to contact the police department if they noticed any kind of foul odor, since the victim was found dismembered and only her torso was discovered. One of the residents in the neighborhood, who seemed very shaken by the news and even shed tears over her death on live TV, was Stephen McDaniel. From being classmates at Mercer University's law school to being next-door neighbors, Stephen was someone Lauren likely had an encounter with on a daily basis. Nobody suspected that Stephen would later go on to make one of the most horrible revelations to the police. On Sunday, June 26, 2011, it was 4:30 in the night when Stephen McDaniel creepingly entered Lauren Giddings' apartment using a master key. With a mask on his face, gloves on his hands, and an all-black attire, McDaniel tiptoed his way to Lauren's bedroom with intentions as sinister as they could get. Stephen McDaniel, with no mercy in his eyes, watched Lauren sleep until her instincts kicked in, and she woke up, startled. Without giving her any time to make sense of the haunting reality, McDaniel leapt across and grabbed her throat. In a desperate struggle between life and death, the two wrestled and tumbled to the ground. With all the might Lauren could gather to save her life, she tried to get him off her by pulling his mask. She was shocked and recoiled in sheer horror once she recognized the man. Begging for mercy, Lauren tried her best to stop him, but Stephen McDaniel kept his hand sturdy on her throat till she was no longer breathing. McDaniel processed the situation and decided to hide the body in her bathroom. Before departing for his apartment, he dragged her and dumped her in the bathtub. What happened next isn't for the weak-hearted. With the thought of Lauren's rotting dead body in the bathtub, Stephen returned to her place later that evening with a freaking hacksaw in his hand. McDaniel really thought that the best way to get rid of Lauren's body was literally sawing her into pieces. The human flesh and bones aren't that easy to chop with just a hacksaw. It would have taken him sheer power to get that saw through her body. There must have been a bloodbath in that washroom. Stephen McDaniel was able to methodically dismember her remains, separating her limbs and head from the torso. He then proceeded to erase all signs of his unspeakable crime. ruthlessly cutting the mask and flushing it down the toilet with his gloves and shirt. He then shoved the disfigured parts of her body in several garbage bags and then dumped them all in different trash bins. Some days later, when the family of Lauren Giddings had reported her missing and her torso was found on June 30th, a camera crew from the television station WGXA arrived at her apartment complex to record the crime scene and interview people in the vicinity.
Yeah, Lauren was my neighbor. We're just trying to find out where she is at this point. I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday.
As shameful and deplorable as one could get, Stephen McDaniel, acting up as Lauren's friend, was seen giving an interview to the local police channel. He said that Lauren was incredibly kind, as nice as one could be, a true people person, and that they were all not sure about her whereabouts. He then went on to say that the only possibility they could consider was she might have gone for a run and gotten kidnapped.
What about in the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of, I think that's where they have recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there.
Body?
Had you seen anything there? Had you seen anything there?
But when the interviewer asked him about the body that the police had found, McDaniel went blank. The look on his face did not hide a single ounce of fear that McDaniel felt at that moment. He started stuttering and told the reporter that he needed to sit down.
Are you okay, sir?
I think I need to sit down.
After composing himself, he came back to talk more about her and then said,
I don't know anyone that would want to hurt her. She was as nice a person as there is.
Initially, Lauren's boyfriend, David Vandiver, was suspected of being involved in the murder case. But when the authorities got search warrants for the neighbors' houses and interrogated them, it started to become clear who was the culprit. Talking about the lawyer inside him, Stephen was the only one who refused to get his apartment searched. Police suspicion started to grow for McDaniel following his shady activities. On June 30th, 2011, his interrogation lasted for more than 12 hours. Initially, he didn't answer much, but as time went by, Detective David Patterson became adamant that McDaniel knew what had happened. As the questioning stretched to the next day, he began to shut down, though the officer started to offer him opportunity so he wouldn't come across as a monster. The officer said, "I know you feel bad about it." Stephen didn't admit to killing Lauren, but he confessed to sneaking into his classmates' apartments to steal condoms, which led to his arrest on charges of burglary. After this, police had search warrants for his house, and what they discovered was a plethora of evidence. Police found the master key for the entire complex, and the key to Lauren's apartment on his dresser. An entire collection of knives and guns, along with a stash of child pornography, were found at his place. There were even splashes of blood on his walls and ceiling. The police were shocked when they found a pair of Lauren's underwear in his bedroom drawer. Further exploration brought them to the storeroom, where they found a hacksaw covered in human flesh. A sheet covered in huge bloodstains was found in his laundry room. As the evidence found was not enough to declare him the killer, the things found in his laptop were even more loathsome. Stephen had been tailing the activities of Lauren Giddings. A set of videos was found where McDaniel could be seen peeping into her apartment through a window. During his body examination, scratches were found on his abdomen. The investigators checked the CCTV footage of a Walmart, which showed McDaniel buying rope and hooded disposable ponchos 3 days before her murder. The officers also found a camera that had recordings of Lauren from the night she was murdered. McDaniel wasn't lucky when it came to women. He failed on dating sites and, to save face, claimed to be a virgin, saving it for marriage. This instilled a loathing for women in his core. The countless posts he made on the internet showing his desire to kill them became a crucial part of the investigation. Under the disguise of username SOL, he had been part of many forums and chat boxes where he talked about being desensitized to violence and graphical scenes. He would talk about such movies and make references to dismembering people alive. He also talked about the usage of drugs and chloroform to immobilize people. Following the evidence, he was charged with murder in August of 2011. He pleaded guilty and entered a plea deal in 2014, where he escaped the death penalty in exchange for a detailed account of the murder. The extra charges of burglary and 30 counts of child exploitation were also dismissed, and he would be eligible for parole in 2041. Currently, he's behind bars for life in Georgia's Hancock State Prison. Sadly, the rest of the remains of Lauren's body were never recovered. McDaniel cried and said it was hard for him to explain. A pathetic excuse. What do you think was his motive behind killing her? Comment down below. Thanks for watching, subscribe so you don't miss our next release, and as always, stay safe out there.